Today we're going to be taking a look at 10 reasons why Call of Duty World War II sucks. I'm not responsible for your butthurt, and as always, leave your sad, salty, tearful comments in the comment section. Number 10, Activsion. The game is published by Activsion, which is a publisher known for its crappy business practices, with expensive, rehashed, and at times on-disc DLC content, pay-to-win features in multiplayer where you can buy supply drops to get vastly ahead of other people, rehashed zombie nonsense which caters to mindless peasants. I'm sure we will see World War II zombies at some point or some variation of that in this game for the 100th time, a game mode you have already access to on like the last 5+ Call of Duties, possibly for an extra $30 fee, or maybe Nuketown 1944 for another $20, or maybe even some bullshit armor packs that go for $10 a pop. A publisher that does not like pushing for innovation and instead rehashes games until they die, basically like a parasite. Expect to see a large amount of DLC, notably armor packs, supply drops that get you ahead, overpriced mediocre DLC that you've seen 100 times before and are stupid enough to buy over and over again, and probably an expensive season pass as well, which means buying the $60 game, which is like $80 now here in Canada due to our crappy dollar, you only really get around half the actual content with that fee. Number 9, SledgeHammer. So not much to say here, it really just falls a lot in line with what I said about Activision. The game not being made by Infinity Ward or Treyarch, two key legacy developers that were really key to this series, that were basically destroyed by Activision and are really just rundown versions of what they used to be, basically comparable to used up prostitutes at this point who have been pimped out like one too many times, and basically most of the talented developers in those companies left anyway. But basically the game being thrown into SledgeHammer's hands, despite some of the success they might have had with Advanced Warfare, won't change much considering the publisher behind the game itself. And let's face it, Advanced Warfare, outside of the paid-off mainstream media bullshit, in the eyes of most gamers, wasn't that good, especially with its pay-to-win bullshit multiplayer, which was some of the worst multiplayer in any Call of Duty to date. And with Call of Duty World War II having such a large focus on multiplayer, you know, there's cause for concern here for sure. Number 8, no swastikas. Now hold on a second, no, I'm not a neo-Nazi or anything like that. What it comes down to is World War II and the historical legacy behind it. Removing swastikas is borderline disingenuous to the time period that they are covering, and borderline disingenuous to the gamers that are playing. They stated their goal was to show World War II to a new generation of players, yet by removing swastikas they are only showing the parts of World War II that they politically agree with and that fits their politically correct agenda. This is censorship at its finest, and it's going to change the way some younger people might potentially actually see and learn about World War II. No, video games are not historically accurate all the time, but when you're creating a different version of history entirely, you shouldn't be marketing your games as a historical product, and if you're too scared to cover the event accurately, you shouldn't be covering the events at all. Swastikas are important to World War II because they play a pivotal role in the history and time period. Number 7, historical inaccuracy. This was touched up upon a bit in number 8, but the game as of now, from what we have seen from gameplay, is far from historically accurate. You have German soldiers walking around with M1 Garands, no swastikas, horribly done, laughable German accents, guns where they don't belong, female frontline soldiers, and black female paratroopers. For a game that claims to be historically accurate, it so far seems to be far from it. That being said, you know, I guess it would kind of make sense for a German soldier to pick up an American rifle or something like that, but I hope that it doesn't transfer too much over into the main campaign. But we will see how that goes in the future. Number 6, female frontline soldiers. So obviously the game being placed in World War II, it is common sense to know that there were no female frontline soldiers on the battlefield. No matter how hard the developers wish this were true, it is simply not the case. It's again disingenuous to the soldiers that fought and died in World War II and the thousands of men that died fighting for their country, and disingenuous to the gamers and disingenuous to the female audience. Again, like I had stated in a previous video, diversity pandering in video games, there is nothing actually wrong with female soldiers. It's when you create a game that you want to show diversity with, yet pick a time period where there is a lack of it, and then go on to inaccurately cover the event to showcase diversity. It's a money grab. You're picking an event to cover what will make you the most money while trying to gain appreciation from the gaming media and audience, which won't be happy until there is a female lead, obese, Jewish, SS, transgendered, Muslim character with a disability who the media would still find some sort of problem with. You see, the media doesn't care about diversity as much as they claim. They care about virtue signaling to a mass audience, which is what the developers are catering to and doing. Yes, you can point out that maybe 1 in 100,000 soldiers on the battlefield might have been a woman. Surely not frontline soldiers in the events they are covering. You might be able to find them in the Soviet Union when their homeland was being attacked and they were forced to fight, or in German youth who fought when their homeland was being attacked. A common theme, the men die and the state have to utilize women soldiers, but it was very rare to see them on the battlefield, if at all. And surely having 1 in 100,000 does not justify putting them in a World War II environment. Again, if you want diversity, why pick World War II and then get mad at people for pointing out your pandering nonsense? If you wanted diversity, and if you truly cared about diversity and you truly wanted to showcase it, you would have picked an entirely different event to cover. But it's not about diversity, it's about making money and pandering. Number 5, SJW Pandering. The game is plagued with SJW pandering. Take a look at this recent picture of Anita Sarkeesian visiting SledgeHammer. If you still think at this point there isn't pandering going on behind the scenes, then something is wrong with you. Why would they pick Anita Sarkeesian, a person whose videos have been debunked hundreds of times, multiple times? Why pick this person for a voice in diversity in media? Is it because they're hated? Does them being hated make their opinions more relevant? I don't understand this. There could be so many more people that these developers could reach out to and talk to, yet they pick one of the most hated people on the internet whose all videos have been debunked, who's making money off virtue signaling and pandering to an audience, and a person that doesn't even truly care about video games. You know, why these people are taken seriously by the gaming media and audience, it doesn't make sense. They love their identity politics, they love their virtue signaling, they love painting everybody who disagrees with them as racists, they go on to push their aggressive politics upon mass media and love to point fingers. They aren't true gamers, nor do they even seem to care about good video games. They care about pushing an agenda and pandering to the groups they claim to represent, groups that they are making money off of and getting rich off of by painting them as victims and feeding off their history for monetary value. This game is clearly catering to this SJW pandering, proven through its historical inaccuracy. Even if they included swastikas in the main campaign and got rid of the female soldiers in the main campaign, they are still taking the historical accuracy away from what most people will be playing, which is the multiplayer. They're stripping and censoring their multiplayer and pushing identity politics into it and pushing their diversity pandering through the cracks along with their cash grabs. What they are doing is borderline racist in itself towards the groups that they're claiming to represent. Number 4, Uninspiring Bullshit. Take a look at the game, take a look at how the game plays. Where is the innovation? It seems just as uninspiring as previous Call of Duties. They rarely try anything new and exciting. It's always some bullshit tacked on 3-hour campaign mode and a glorified map pack with the same game engine updates in its multiplayer, along with a bunch of new DLC that you have to rebuy. It's just so uninspiring. Sure, the setting is kind of new. World War II is a great setting by all means, but they have pretty much stripped away what World War II was actually to begin with, what the historical meaning behind it, the setting itself, and they're throwing just bullshit into it. There's nothing inspiring here, nothing innovating, nothing you haven't already seen or played through in previous games or other games that will offer a much better multiplayer experience than this one. Go play Call of Duty World at War if you want a World War II game. I'm sure that game will be so much better than this game in pretty much every possible way. Number 3, diversity pandering. Now, this has been touched up upon already, and I've already talked in depth about this, but I believe it's one of the key problems with the game. They have female black paratroopers in this game in a time period set in World War II. Now, the very first black female paratrooper was Sergeant Joyce B. Malone, who became the first black woman to earn airborne wings in the U.S. Army Reserves in 1974. And so, like, by pushing this back into, like, 1945, the developers are being, again, disingenuous to the groups they're claiming to represent, and if anything, undermining their success, and if anything, disingenuous to the actual historical figures. Let me be clear here. There were no female black paratroopers in World War II. It just doesn't make sense. I don't understand how they can defend this. It would be like covering feudal Japan but including white people. It's just fucking stupid and insulting. It would be insulting to the Japanese and the history, and insulting to the white people who are basically being told, here you go, we know you didn't take part in this event, but, you know, we wanted to include you because, God forbid, racism. These people are just fucking, like, morons in the highest degree possible. It doesn't make sense. Number 2, horrible graphics. So yeah, graphics do matter to some degree, especially in a game that's, especially like these kinds of games where they're like centered around, you know, looking good and playing good and pushing the genre forward. But so far, this game looks like a borderline Xbox 360/PS3 game. In fact, there are games on the Xbox 360 and PS3 that I would argue look better than this game. The graphics look bland, the animations look bad, the guns look bad, the game sounds bad, especially with all the screaming female fucking soldiers running around. Down! And it all just seems so uninspiring and ugly. For a game being developed in 2017, it looks like a game that came out around 2009, but I guess that's what happens when they copy and paste the entire damn series now for like over 10 years. And the final point, number 1, horrible gameplay. Now, the gameplay looks just bad and, again, uninspiring. This is the same gameplay we have now seen for the past 10 years. 10 fucking years ago. I was like, what was I, 13 years old back then? I mean, we've already played, this is the same formula we've played now for 10 plus years. Where is the innovation? Why aren't they trying new things? The coolest new thing they have is something called Headquarters, yet it has a restriction of like 48 players. They're basically pushing a World of Warcraft like daily system into this game, and anybody who has played WoW knows how shitty daily quests truly are. A time-gated system that caps your progress. Oh, I fucking hate time-gated systems, but it's a time-gated system that caps your progress, where you grind for reputation like points to attain new things. Though I'm sure they will have pay-to-win features to bypass this anyway to make more money. But everything they are trying has already been done before. The minor improvements they're making don't even seem like improvements, especially for a game that looks like it's something out of 2009. For a market that has a game like Battlefield 1, which, yeah, has, you know, some similar issues with diversity pandering, yet seems to be, you know, a much better looking game that at least pushed for a few new things. A market that will have games like Star Wars Battlefront 2, Anthem, Destiny 2, Battalion 1944, there seems little reason to play this game. So in conclusion, if you want a game that is going to capture upon a true World War II experience, a game that will not be marketed by the mass media and infected by regressive politics, a game that actually cares about the core classic multiplayer of previous World War II games and will stick more to historical accuracy, I would check out Battalion 1944, which is shaping out to look like a good World War II game. But, you know, everything else from the diversity pandering to the ugly graphics, you know, the game just in general looks like shit. It just looks like another Call of Duty game with a new title, you know, made by fucking half-competent developers that I guess are plagued by social justice warrior pandering for some reason. I have no idea why. You know, I don't know why this is happening in the gaming industry. A bunch of, I don't know. I can't answer that. Maybe one of you guys can answer that for me in the comment section. But as always, please rate, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to see more politically incorrect, focused content from me, as always, this is the place to be.